So you walk into the shop and you see a tiny little Pacman frog and think, oh, this is such a cute little froggo that I can keep in a nice small tank. Well, that's not exactly right. These guys, these little Pacman frogs that we have here at our shop, they're actually little baby Pacman frogs. So before you get one and get a smaller tank for it, you might want to check out how big they get. So before you get a Pacman frog, there's a few things you're going to want to consider, and it's not just how big they're going to get. So in today's video, we're going to talk about all those different aspects about a Pacman frog that you're going to want to consider before you actually add one to your family. So let's go check those out. Alright, so we got our little ornate Pacman frog right here. And he's pretty active, so he's not going to let me hold him to show you guys an up close of him, but we're gonna bring him over to our biggest frog here. Now this is Java. She's a pixie frog, and adult Pacman frogs actually, they almost get about as big as her, and she's a female pixie, and female pixies don't get as big as boys. So you can see kind of the size comparison of what a baby Pacman would look like in comparison to what an adult would look like. Now definitely they don't get as big as her, but if you imagine her like a quarter, like 3/4 of her size, that is how big an adult Pacman would get. They easily get as big as your hand. Like they can get up to like 7 inches long. So, and that's not including like their leg. Well, their legs aren't that big. They got tiny little legs, but because they're mostly just mouth, their mouth takes up the majority of their body size for Pacmans anyway. But yes, you can see just how big of a size difference there's going to be from a baby to an adult. We don't have an adult Pacman here, so that's why we use Java to kind of help us get an idea of how big they're going to get. And you can see that Miss Java is in a 40 breeder, which is basically a 50 gallon actually. And it is 36 by 18 by 12, and that is the size of tank that you're gonna want for a Pacman frog adult as well. That way they have plenty of room to hop around and hunt and everything. Now babies like him can start out in a 10 gallon, but you'll eventually have to move up, so some people find it's cheaper to just start with what they're gonna need later on in life rather than buy a smaller tank at the beginning and then have to buy another one later down the line. And one more thing we gotta talk about Pacman frogs is the fact that you can't keep multiple Pacman frogs together. These guys are cannibals, and they will basically eat anything and everything that moves, even if it's like bigger than themselves. And yeah, they will try to eat similar sized Pacman frogs and even smaller ones too. So yeah, you definitely can't keep them together. Usually if they try to eat another Pacman frog that's just a little bit smaller than itself, it usually ends up with the other Pacman frog dying, and they can die themselves just from like choking on the other Pacman frog. So it does happen, and yeah, that is why you can't keep them together. So yeah, those are just a couple of things to consider before you get a pet Pacman frog. You gotta think about just how big they're gonna get. The tanks you see here, these are good for babies. When we sell them, we usually sell them as babies. They don't get really big, so we sell them before they get to that adult size. And then you also got to think about how you can't keep multiples together. You got to keep them separate. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you later.